leg winners ABN AMRO ONE have been soaking up the sunshine for the best part of a week. But for one boat, the splendor of Sugarloaf Mountain has been a long time in coming. After surviving a major scare en route to Cape Horn when water flooded into the boat through the keel box and undergoing emergency repairs in Ushuaia in southern Argentina, Movistar finally arrives to join the rest of the fleet, an epic 26 days after leaving Melbourne. Not for the first time, Movistar is plucked from the water, another intensive overhaul ahead of it.
It's looking pretty good. Looking very good actually, considering the boat's done as many miles as it has. So the basic
supervising work on Movistar's Troublesome Keel is Russell Bowler of Far Yacht Design, designers of all but the two ABN AMRO boats on the last leg. Despite the Far boat's frailties in the first four legs, the designer's confidence in their work remains unshaken.
We've gone to every place and every port and looked at the problems and to see whether they were actually, are these boats seeing loads that we hadn't predicted. But in every case, we're quite happy that we have done the engineering correctly, and really it's just a matter of secondary detailing that needs tidying up, and we'd do a few things differently next time. Of course, you learn from all these incidences, but the basic structures are just fine.
2 places below Movistar on the leaderboard, Ericsson's crew reshuffle continues. The health checks at the end of leg 4 were routine enough, but moving Neil McDonald to watch captain in favour of new skipper John Kostecki was not.
I'm committed, as I always have been, to get Ericsson a place I believe we deserve. We haven't had a great regatta so far, and we clearly need to improve upon that. So yeah, I think it's a new start for us.
In the most recent change, Ross Halcrow, a race winner on Kostecki's Ilbrook 4 years ago, has been brought in at the expense of Jason Carrington, crewman and Ericsson's construction manager. Bowman Tom Braidwood misses the next leg with a shoulder injury, but frustration at Ericsson's lack of performance continues.
I think it's never one little thing, you know. We certainly have a boat speed issue. You know, boat speed comes from a lot of factors. You know, it can be rigs, it can be sails, it can be the hull. You know, I mean, it's hard to think it's anything to do with the hull or the underwater, because our boats are out of the same mould as the Pirates. Except our boat's been built a lot more meticulously and a much nicer job. We've got to look really deeply at our whole team and find out why we've got a speed problem. It's a mystery, I don't know, because everyone's racking their brains, and hopefully we'll turn around and come up with a good solution.
Mike Sanderson's ABN AMRO ONE raced into Rio ahead of the pack to take the 4th leg of the Volvo Ocean Race and tighten their grip on this competition. Lying second, their sister boat, ABN AMRO TWO. This is the surprise package of the race, but along with Brazil One could find themselves on the start line for the import race with a huge disadvantage. Their light weather sails are unlikely to arrive in time.
Basically, the problem is that we developed some light air sails for inshore sailing, you know, near the coast, which is quite a lot of points in the Volvo race, especially with our boat. You know, we don't perform too well in light air, so we really depend on these sails.
So we chartered this plane to fly directly to the most southern part of Brazil. That's the first port, it is Rio Grande. And in Rio Grande we hope to meet the big vessel with our container on it. And then hopefully we are allowed to collect the sails out of customs there and bring into this plane.
It's not just the fact that we need to get the sails and put them on the boat. We have to check them over, we have to put patterns in them. We also have to pack the spinnakers, and also it'd be good to get them out and have a look at them before we want to use them, you know, to make sure there's no holes and just to double check everything.
With all eyes on the clock, the customs inspector opens the container to give his approval for the sails to leave the dockside and be transported to the airport. As the sails are about to be loaded onto the Rio-bound aircraft, the pilot suddenly has concerns about the size of his cargo.
This will all fit in one flight container, normally. Quer fazer teste de repente?
We can roll this up and try if you like. I think we will manage. It's completely packed to the roof of the plane, completely full with all the sails, and we won't fit in it anymore. so it's just the pilots that have to crawl over the sails and then get into the pilot seat, and then you have to open the door for them to get them out.
But finally, the sails arrive in Rio and the preparation for the import race begins. In Rio, race director Andy Hindley is aware that the afternoon ahead will be a challenging one.
I know what they used it in the knockout now. What country? They look really big here. You get them in the water and boats go racing around them. They look really small all of a sudden, but here we've got anchor 'em on the bottom. 9 to 10 knots is easily sailable. It's the right wind for the fire design boats and not the right wind for the One boats, i.e. ABN AMRO 1 and 2. Well, if they win today, they will thoroughly deserve it because it's not their conditions. So, but anything can happen. Wait and see. Top marks in. Top marks in place. The course is completely clear. The wind is perfect, and if this continues all afternoon, we'll have one of the best races we've probably had so far.
Time for the racing to get underway. In the commentary box, international yachtsman Chris Law.
Race build-up, breeze is 10 to 15 knots. Lovely backdrop of Rio de Janeiro. Ericsson under pressure today to perform under their new skipper, John Kostecki, the winner of the last round of the World Race.
Okay, let's go, Tremont. Tremont.
On board Pirates of the Caribbean, Paul Kayard asking for more speed.
Trim right on up. Tremont. Yeah, full speed. Tremont.
ABN AMRO ONE making their final run at the line. Standby gun. Movistar coming into leeward.
2, 1, go.
Gun, great start. Kayard got a good one. Torben Gale and Brazil didn't. They're out the back. ABN AMRO 2 also struggling. Ericsson safe to leeward, but full chat. So Ericsson to leeward going well. Movistar in the middle, but punched is ABN AMRO 1 and Kayard in control to windward. Okay, approaching the top mark, first time. ABN AMRO 1 clear again, leading the inshore race. But Brazil look vulnerable here. Brazil coming in on port tack. Must keep out of the way of Pirates of the Caribbean and Movistar coming in on starboard. They have wind from the right, means they're in the right in sailing terminology. Brazil tack clear to leeward, but they're within 2 lengths of the mark. So if Movistar have to alter course to avoid them, Brazil are in danger of being penalized. They might also hit the mark. Brazil are luffing. Movistar have to keep clear, so do Pirates. Brazil are vulnerable here. On board Brazil. They didn't hit the mark as far as we could tell, but protest from Movistar. Brazil have risked it in their home waters, trying to do well. They should have gone behind both Movistar. Whistle. Umpires have penalized someone. Flag. It's Brazil. Oh no, Brazil have been penalized in their home port. Brazil will have to do a complete penalty turn.
You got a penalty. You've been penalized. Okay, don't worry, Earl. Let's sail the boat.
If you've been penalized, you have to take your spinnaker down and do a complete 360. That's a tack and a jibe. Marcelo Ferreira, Torben's Olympic crew, so disappointed in front of the home crowd. Heartache for Brazil, just trying to push it too hard. End of the first lap. ABN AMRO 1 out in front again, even in the light air. Cool, calm, collected, looking fantastic. But Paul Kayard with Pirates of the Caribbean are not so good. They have got problems.
The halyard. The halyard's boned. Daggerboard's down.
Movistar goes through to leeward. Movistar into second.
It's not? Is it or not? No, it's right. It'll wrap it again. It'll wrap it again. Okay, stand by to bear away. It's caught a hang. Well, what do we do? All right, here we go.
Boy, problems here. They'll lose valuable points. Movistar now out in a clear second. Ericsson up to third. That's their best finish for a while. Ross Halcrow on board, the new trimmer. ABN AMRO 2 still struggling at the back. But round the top mark for the last time, it's ABN AMRO 1 with a sleigh ride to the finish. Big boats these, built for the Southern Ocean, built for round the world. They're contained, held back inshore, but being sailed beautifully. Movistar coming to the top mark now for the final time. They're in second. They look safe, but it's tight the next places. Ericsson, though, is going to get third. If she doesn't make a mistake downhill, that will give her the podium finish she desperately needs. Look at them try. But it's tight at the back for fourth, fifth and sixth. Just in front in fourth is ABN AMRO 2, followed tight by Cayard, and they're on board Brazil. They're close in sixth. Fourth, fifth and sixth is tight. But out in front, showing the way to do it, is ABN AMRO 1, sailing beautifully in this round the world race, totally dominating. And when restricted inshore in their supposed light condition, they still dominate. Great result for them and their team. But the yellow race winner's flag goes to the day to Mike Sanderson and the ABN AMRO team. That's the way to do it.
So a win for Mike Sanderson's ABN AMRO 1. It appears his crew can do no wrong in this race. Movistar will be delighted with their second place after their recent problems, and Ericsson will gain confidence from finishing third. There'll be an inquest at Pirates of the Caribbean after coming home last.
It's not pleasant to go through, but you have to keep your chin up and keep going. And you know, in the big scheme of things, it's hopefully a minor setback. We still have a good team. We still have a good boat. I mean, everything was going great for the first couple laps. We were racing well. There's just more evidence being gathered at ABN ONE. It's just simply faster.
The stunning in-port race victory for ABN AMRO 1 extends their lead in the Volvo Ocean Race. Mike Sanderson's men are now 16 points clear of ABN AMRO 2. Pirates of the Caribbean lie third, with Bouwe Bekking's Movistar just half a point behind them in fourth.
We just knuckled down together and said, hey guys, everyone expects us to come last today. Let's step it up another gear. Let's everyone just do anything they can to raise the intensity and see what we can pull out of it. Any point we got today was a good point. But you know, the guys just did such a fantastic job today. It was just a pleasure to watch from my position, and they didn't put a foot wrong all day, and that was what happened, you know. That's what got our lead bigger.
It's nice that we actually pulled it together today, and I think we just stayed calm, and some other people made a lot of mistakes and just got into second place, but we were happy with our speed as well. We were going good upwind and we were actually very quick downwind, and we still know there's a lot of downwind that's going to be a race in this race, so it gives us a lot of confidence.
Absolutely exhausting. Of course, the ABN ONE boys showed us their faster side again, and the Movistar guys, what a great turnaround for them. But certainly a great day for us, and good place to start rebuilding from. Hopefully you're going to see a little bit more of it.
The race restart fast approaching. The Volvo crews take their last lingering look at Rio. True to form, Pirates bowman Justin Kluwer chooses to take his from the air.
Excellent. Oh, this is beautiful. The controls themselves are very responsive. You do feel any inputs that you make do have a reaction, so it's very fun to fly. Very similar to sailing, really. You try not to stall, because that's bad. We've come to Rio, we're halfway through the event. We have said that this was going to be our staging point where we were going to be fully on the speed, and now we feel like we really have achieved that.
What's the big picture plan here?
For Pirates skipper Paul Cayard, third overall is a great position considering the project started only 11 months ago.
I would say the distance to the leader is a little more than I'd hoped for, and the leading boat has proven to be significantly faster than the group. In all the times I've done this race, we've never had a boat that's that much faster than the rest of the fleet.
While winning the race 8 years ago on EF Language, Kayard's uncompromising attitude stunned his crew.
From Cape Town to Australia, he didn't really want to listen to anybody. And he never let us put up a smaller sail. Or bigger sail, we gotta keep pushing this thing. And it was awful.
Being in charge means that you have to be able to say no sometimes, and you're not everyone's friend. And I think leaders also have a certain aura about them that makes them a little less easy to approach, a little less approachable at times as a buddy-buddy.
He's a guy in the Southern Ocean, I remember, you know, it's just dark, it's miserable, it's cold, you know, I had like frostbite on my fingers. You're like, what the hell are we doing in this hellhole? And here he is, you know, middle of the night. He doesn't need to be up, he's a skipper. He can kind of stay in his bunk, but there he is. Doesn't take over, and he just stays up there. What do you need me to do? You want me to grind? Whatever. Just comes in and fills in and gets the guys through the dark hours.
Main on, main on, main on.
These 9 months wear on me pretty hard, but I'll bounce back from it, and all in all, it's such a fantastic life experience that it's well worth the effort that is required.
3 weeks after arriving in Rio, the fleet returns to the racetrack for leg 5 to Baltimore. Winners of the Rio Import Race, Mike Sanderson's lead on ABN AMRO ONE seems unassailable, but the battle still rages on the boats behind him. Just 5.5 points separate second place from fourth. Leg 5 offers some of the most varied conditions in the race, with a return to the scoring gate of Fernando de Noronha and the challenge of trade winds, doldrums and the Gulf Stream before the notoriously tricky last 100 miles up the Chesapeake Bay to Baltimore. But with lighter winds forecast, race leader ABN AMRO ONE may not have the advantage she's enjoyed so far.
We know under 6-7 knots of breeze, 8 knots of breeze, the boat is sticky, but so it should be for some naval architecture reasons. On the other hand, we've also got to take some confidence from the fact that in 20 knots reaching, there's maybe not a whole lot they can do about that because, you know, we are wider and we are more powerful.
Certainly the conditions on the next leg should be very much a leveler, I think, for all the boats. We know the ABN boats are quick reaching, but I think we've seen some good advances in the way the far boats, ourselves included, have developed sail inventories, and I think perhaps also because of the course on the next leg there'll be not so much chance for boats to split apart and we could see some very close racing.
Restart day in Rio. The direction and strength of the wind, or lack of it, has preoccupied the minds of the team's weather analysts for several days. High up on Sugarloaf Mountain overlooking Guanabara Bay, Team ABN AMRO's weather gurus Ken Campbell and Mike Quilter scan the racetrack for the slightest sign of stronger winds. The man on the spot is ABN AMRO ONE's navigator Stan Honey.
What's your hunch? Do you think we're going to get a southerly or do you think we're going to start in a northerly?
It's very hard to say on the water, but considering how light it is where we are, I don't think it's got. It may not be to that island that's in the middle there that you've got to leave to starboard.
Alrighty, bye. So the southerly's made it just to that little island.
With 25 minutes to the start, the Volvo fleet is all but becalmed. The weathermen have another 20 minutes to offer advice, but when the 5-minute gun goes, the navigators are on their own.
What's the time?
12:45.
The foremost thing in their minds is going to be inside or outside here.
I still like outside, safer.
Probably outside is safer. What's the time now? Should give me a call
About
shortly.
30 seconds after the last time you asked me. Jeez, you're worse than my daughter.
With less than 10 minutes to the start gun, almost miraculously, the sea breeze picks up to save the fleet. The boats prepare to sail upwind through the entrance to Guanabara Bay, round a buoy off Copacabana Beach, and head for the open sea. Getting a clean start is crucial.
30 seconds. 18. 14. Shut these guys out.
Desperate to do well in front of their huge local following, Torben Grail's Brazil One again crosses the start line early, a full 20 seconds early.
Over early, it's us.
Brazil One's penalty is to return to the line and start again. Movistar gets the best start at the committee boat end of the line. Just a few minutes later, drama on ABN AMRO ONE. It's the lock securing their jib that has failed. Before Mike Sanderson's crew can make the repair, they first have to retrieve the jib lock, and it's bowman Jan Dekker who's hauled up the rig to get it. Bouwe Bekking has a headache too, his caused by being struck on the head by the boom. No stitches, but not the ideal start to 2.5 weeks at sea. In a strengthening 10-knot breeze on the approach to the entrance of Guanabara Bay, John Kostecki's Ericsson leads from Pirates of the Caribbean. ABN AMRO 2 and Movistar are close behind. At the buoy off Copacabana Beach, it's Pirates of the Caribbean that heads the fleet after snatching the lead from Ericsson. Next mark on the course, the scoring gate of Fernando de Noronha, over 1,300 miles away. Light and variable winds are forecast for the next few days, squalls and showers too, but for now the boats are in breeze and back on track. For Pirates, an encouraging start and the chance to challenge for second place overall.
Well, Jug, another nice start. That's why they have the big Jesus Christ over Guanabara Bay, for things like that. And they need to start at 110, the wind comes in at 105.
The main concern for all the skippers is how best to avoid the pockets of light winds and thunderclouds that have seen the lead change hands constantly since the fleet left Rio. Negotiating the minefield of shifting winds and squalls is already testing the patience of the navigators.
Clouds, bit of rain, little few maneuvers, bit of fight, as usual.
Despite the problems with their jib just after the start, ABN AMRO ONE managed to claw their way back into the lead, only to lose ground again after making a short and unsuccessful detour inshore.
We had a very tough night at the office, and we're really interested to find out who invented yacht racing, because it might be a lynching.
This leg from Brazil to the USA is a huge test for our 6 boats. No monstrous waves or gale-force winds in this part of the world, but the unique weather systems here present their own challenges. With over 4,000 miles of racing left, only 59 miles separates the leader, Movistar, from the backmarker ABN AMRO 2. On the way to Baltimore, our Volvo fleet have the opportunity to pick up more points at the Fernando de Noronha scoring gate before they head north towards the USA. Just short of the island, ABN AMRO ONE make their move on the leg leader. Movistar are suddenly looking over their shoulder. As darkness falls, ABN AMRO ONE close in.
How far to go, stop? Stop. 7 miles. 7 miles. just rounded the island of Fernando, and Movistar was about a mile ahead, but they seem quite slow. I'm looking across his stern again. 2 lengths separation. He's just got another wave.
Yesterday was an exciting day for Movistar. We approached Fernando de Noronha. That was one of the scoring waypoints, and we had a close battle with ABN ONE again. Early in the morning there were like a little dot on the horizon, and we just knew in these conditions we had, like reaching conditions 12 to 18 knots, that they just go a little faster than us. So we knew we were in for a tight one.
So despite seeing an extensive lead disappear, Movistar still take the maximum 3.5 points at Fernando de Noronha. ABN AMRO ONE passed the gate close behind, but now lead the Spanish entry as the fleet head for the Equator. As they continue north, Baltimore bound, Mike Sanderson's ABN AMRO ONE are gradually extending their lead. No time for despondency on the Spanish entry, however, as reaching the northern hemisphere sees King Neptune appear to mark Fernando Echevarri's first crossing of the Equator.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. We got one offender only this time. One offender, yes, I remember all of you many times. Trip on! Yes! Yes!
We're actually just approaching the area where the doldrums are starting. It looks like that we actually keep breeze the whole way, like it might slow down to about 5 or 6 knots. But like what I said, it looks like we're keeping with some breeze so that we don't get stopped completely. It will of course mean that the boats behind us will gain quite a few miles because they're still sailing the old breeze. But hopefully we can pop out on the other side a little quicker than they do and then extend again. So keep fingers crossed.
While ABN AMRO ONE and Movistar pull away from the rest of the Volvo fleet, a duel for third develops between Paul Kayart's Pirates of the Caribbean and Torben Grail's Brazil One.
Pirates of the Caribbean, in front of me, another 1,000 miles to the Caribbean. I'm Dutch. I think my Navy still has a standing order to sink anything that displaces Jolly Roger, but we'll let them get away with it. However, rule 1 of being a pirate, you need a faster yacht than your prey. Not today.
Beating your rivals is one aim. Beating the heat is another.
How's the conditions on board, do you know?
It's very hot, sweating, everything moist, no fans, it's miserable.
It's 30 degrees in the water and about 35 degrees downstairs. But the one thing that drives you nuts down here is the guy on top of you sweating away, his sweat dripping through on top of you. And number 2, the extreme heat. And there's one little chestnut we keep on board here to help us battle that. It's called the Halifan. There she is. You can just see the shadow of her working away over Dingo there, pushing a bit of air down, trying to circulate some of the smelly air around the boat down here. Our beautiful little meal we have here of 30 supplements. The doctor must think I'm dying. We'll have a little shot at how you get these down your throat in one go. Beautiful. That's what you call a power breakfast at sea.
At the back, more than 50 miles behind the closest boat, the crew of ABN AMRO 2 make the most of the scant rainfall.
Yeah, George, that's what you call the shower on board ABN 2. Yeah. A little bit of boom showering. Get in. Oh yeah, that's what I call a nice shower on ABN 2. Simeon is going to show us how his shower on the extreme, Volvo Ocean Race style. First he's going to shampoo himself, you know, rub every part of his body. And his girlfriend was complaining that he doesn't take a shower on board. Can you believe on that? No. We're going to turn on the shower for him. Oh yeah, there we go. Nice shower. One of the most expensive showers in the world. The Volvo 70. Life at the extreme.
Now, with less than 800 miles to the finish in Baltimore, leaders ABN AMRO ONE have slipped through the stationary cold front and into the building low-pressure systems beyond. By reaching the new breeze first, the Dutch boat has increased its lead over Movistar to 50 miles. Although Sanderson and Honey's earlier move west was replicated by the rest of the fleet and any gains cancelled out. But in the highly localized and changeable conditions, the losses and gains from one sked to the next are enormous. And it's not long before Bouwe Bekking has better news to share with his crew.
Really good sked, boys. Quite happy.
Really?
Well, the guys behind us have light breeze as well.
Oh, really?
They've only 7-8 knots of breeze, so even though we lost 26 miles to all of them behind us, we're going 24 miles on ABN. They're only 26 miles ahead. Same wind direction as us and less pressure, so game on.
30 miles down the fleet, Ericsson has been making gains at the expense of Brazil One, who have been relegated to 5th position in a battle that promises to last all the way to Baltimore.
Had a fantastic sort of night, holding along just like great speeds of 20 knots. We're just down over here at the moment. We've got the Brazilians. They took quite a bit out of us last night, but in the last few hours we managed to get a couple of miles back on them. So they're the ones we're battling with at the moment. Pirates about 30 miles that way. So we've got to keep them behind us and mow the boys down up here. And our jib's flapping, so I better pay attention. Skipper slapping, mate. Hey?
At the back of the Volvo fleet is ABN AMRO TWO. After losing touch with the fleet completely earlier in the leg, a 62-mile gain has put Seb Joss's crew back within catching distance of Brazil One and Ericsson. After more than 2 weeks at sea, the rapidly changing conditions have meant long, tiring vigils below for the navigators and exhausting watches for the crews. Baltimore and its attractions can't come soon enough. Over 100 miles up the Chesapeake Bay, some 200 inland from the Atlantic, Baltimore and the restart city of Annapolis further south represent the last extended stopover of the race. On offer are 3 weeks to recover from leg 5 and prepare for the Transatlantic Dash to Portsmouth via a pit stop in New York. Day 16, Rio to Baltimore, and ABN AMRO ONE makes its way up Chesapeake Bay towards the finish line. Over 4,950 miles behind it, less than 50 to go. Renowned for its capricious winds, tides and sandbanks, the Chesapeake's challenges have so far been slow to materialize. The threat from Movistar has also yet to appear, still some 30 miles behind. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge is the last major landmark en route to what looks like being their 4th leg win from 5 attempts. But with less than 3 miles to the finish, the black boat simply stops, trapped in light air and fighting a 1-knot current. Sanderson's men resort to dropping anchor. Behind them, rivals Movistar are closing at 13 knots. Raising the spectre of ABN AMRO ONE's defeat in Wellington at the hands of the Spanish entry at the end of leg 3. By the time the breeze fills in again for ABN AMRO ONE, Movistar are less than 20 miles in arrears. It's a relieved Mike Sanderson that finally crosses the line 15 days, 2 hours and 47 minutes after leaving Rio.
This is a childhood dream of mine since I was 5 years old. Everything I've done has been to try and one day hope to skipper a Volvo boat. So the novelty never wears off, it's never less special. And this is another fantastic one after a very tough leg.
16.5 miles behind when their rivals finish, Movistar takes another 5 hours to complete the windless approach to the line. Agonizingly slow it may have been, But with ABN AMRO 2 stuck at the back of the fleet, the Spanish entry's second place on leg 5 lifts it from 4th to 2nd position overall.
Yeah, I think we can be pretty comfortable how the whole leg went, because we were nearly a week in the lead and didn't lose too much in the end against ABN ONE. So congratulations to them. They just have an awesome boat and they sailed well. So they deserve winners. But of course, second place is good because with the scoring waypoint points as well, we had a very good leg.
Ten hours later, Pirates of the Caribbean sail in on a healthy morning breeze to take 3rd place. It's a result which drops them back to 4th overall, but leaves them just half a point adrift of ABN AMRO 2 and only 1.5 points behind rivals Movistar.
We've made it here now, we've got our podium spot, and we're going to be duking it out with Movistar, and if they think they're going to get away easy, they've got another thing coming.
Just 2 hours later, the leg-long battle for 4th and 5th place reaches its conclusion. After damaging a headsail 150 miles from the finish in a squall and forfeiting a 20-mile lead over Brazil 1, John Kostecki's Ericsson fight to the last to claw back the mile that separates them from the Brazilians. But having covered Kostecki's every step since then, it's Torben Grail's boat that takes 4th position by just 13 minutes, increasing their lead over the Swedish boat in the race overall.
We had a very hard leg, so beating Ericsson here at the finish of the leg was a good boost for the guys.
For Ericsson, a more competitive leg than the last, but despite the crew reshuffle in Rio, just 5 points for the leg and 5th position is their only reward.
No, I'm not happy. I mean, I like to win races, and I think there's a lot of things that we can continue to improve upon to up our game and become better.
2nd into Cape Town and Melbourne, 5th into Wellington and 3rd into Rio, ABN AMRO 2's last place in Baltimore is a new and unwelcome experience for Seb Joss's crew. So with their 4th leg win of the race, ABN AMRO ONE now have a yawning 22-point lead. But below them it's a different story, just 1.5 points separating Movistar in 2nd from Pirates in 4th. In 5th place it's Brazil 1, Ericsson still struggling in 6th. ABN AMRO ONE's stranglehold on the race gets ever tighter. Mathematically it's still not over, but if Mike Sanderson carries on at this rate, overall victory can't be far away. Brunel are back. The Annapolis import race will see 7 boats competing for points as the Australian entry rejoins the Volvo Ocean Race after withdrawing due to financial constraints in Melbourne in December. Starting as a new entry on 0 points, this is a team with something to prove. Grant Warrington's boat began life in the race as Sunergy and Friends, and hindered by money problems from its inception, immediately found the opening leg arduous. A broken boom leading to a pit stop in Madeira within days of leaving the start line in Spain. The crew eventually arrive in Cape Town to take 5th place. Now renamed ING Real Estate Brunel, the 2nd leg through the Southern Ocean to Melbourne was to be their last. Again, the journey didn't go to plan.
One guy's supposed to be a mast builder. He was in charge of this right from day one, and he cocked it up completely, and I'm absolutely livid about it. What can you do about it now? We just wasted 400 miles, and we're never going to catch it back.
Another 5th placed finish for the Australians. It's been a 7-week journey to Baltimore from Melbourne following hull, keel and rig amendments, but Brunel are ready to re-enter the Volvo Ocean Race.
We've got a really fresh team ready to go, and we're all fat and happy, you know, so that's really good. Everyone's had a lot of rest and they've put on plenty of kilos. But there's still a lot of points up for grabs in the event, and you know, we're just hopeful that we can do a really nice job and show everybody that, you know, Brunel's a competitive boat.
From a contented crew to one still struggling to comprehend why their race has been such a disappointment. Another stopover, another round of crew changes on board Ericsson. Neil MacDonald returns as skipper to replace John Kostecki.
Unfortunately, I have some conflicts with some previous commitments for more or less the next, well, it's actually for the next year, and so some of those conflicts are not allowing me to do legs 6, 7, and 8. So I'm available to do leg 9, and obviously I'm available to continue doing the inshore import races.
I feel that the changes that are coming on here are positive. They've been talked about. They might look like they're sort of flash in the pan 5-minute decisions, but they've basically taken a long time to look over since we got off the boat. Literally, I haven't been out of the meeting rooms.
Guiding the boat up the Chesapeake Bay was Steve Hales' last task with Ericsson before resigning. He's replaced by Mark Rudiger, who won the race as navigator on board EF Language in 1998.
It's been a very tough decision. A very, you know, thought about it very hard, and you know, in collaboration with the team as well. I mean, it is my call, but you know, it hasn't been without sitting down and talking to the team, and you know, I've no doubt I have no question it's the right thing for me to do, and I also think it will help, you know, energise the team a bit.
To me, I've really seen small differences in the boats that lead to big mileage changes, and once you get that far separated, then you're sailing in different weather, and I've seen where a couple boats have had some bad breaks, you know, which again separates them a lot. In the old days with the 60s, you'd have a little separation and you had a chance to get back into it, but these boats are so fast that the smallest little change, you know, yields a 20-mile separation. Then you're in a whole different game. You know, the rich get richer typically, so hopefully the breaks will go our way and, you know, be on the podium.
Import race day in Baltimore. Docksides filling up with people out to enjoy one of the highlights of the Waterfront Festival. The light conditions forecast have duly materialised, putting the far-designed boats in pole. But with fickle, fluky winds in prospect and an ebbing tide also a factor, there's a testing afternoon ahead for the whole fleet. Keeping up with the race in Baltimore, commentator Andy Green.
The Chesapeake Bay providing picture-perfect conditions today. 10 to 12 knots of breeze. The boats are powered up, and Brian McInnes winding the handles on ABN AMRO ONE. Brunel just crossing in front of them in the preparation for the start. They're glad to be back after 2 months away.
Trim, man. Ease the jib. Ease the jib.
Well, Mike Sanderson having a few trimming issues there on ABN AMRO ONE. And right at the bottom of the picture on port tack, giving way to everybody on board right now is Ericsson. They're ducking the entire fleet. They obviously like the right-hand side of the racecourse. As the other boats wind up on starboard, it's Brazil at the pin. And Pirates of the Caribbean right in the middle, getting a cracking start.
God's sake!
And ABN AMRO ONE not having a good time of it off the start in the dirty air of Brazil ONE. Now up on the racecourse to the right-hand side, Ericsson is furthest because they ducked the entire fleet at the start. Just to windward of them, ABN AMRO 2, and further up is Pirates of the Caribbean. The right-hand side looks like it's where everyone wants to go, and on board ABN AMRO 1, Justin Slattery calls the bow down to Mike Sanderson so they can duck as close as they possibly can and not lose any distance. Paul Cayard tacks out of the right-hand side to come back towards the windward mark. And that's Dirk de Ridder just putting the wraps on the winch. Have to be very careful of your fingers there. But towards the right-hand side, Ericsson continues, and it looks like that's the paying move.
Well, here we are. First windward mark, and things are looking really good after a
an interesting start. We've sailed incredibly well upwind, really good boat speed and great height, and have managed to get to the windward mark first, just ahead of Movistar. I have to say, fantastic effort from all, and shows that the boat's not A, not slow, and B, the guys aren't bad. So here we go. Fantastic.
On board now with Movistar, and they are hot on the heels of Ericsson. And Pirates of the Caribbean come round the top mark in 3rd place, hunting for that podium position. Jules Salter just to windward, he's the navigator. And around in 4th place is ABN AMRO 2, behind them Brazil 1. The leader at the moment of the Volvo Ocean Race, well back in 6th place, about a boat length and a half ahead of the new entrants, Brunel. But the big news on the racecourse is Movistar have made a clean break to the right-hand side. They look like they've got better breeze, and this could be a significant move. Stuck in the left-hand side, Ericsson and Pirates of the Caribbean. Movistar is going to make the passing manoeuvre. Here they come at the bottom mark, and the spinnaker draped all around the boat. They need to get that in safely, but if they can, this will be the passing manoeuvre of the race. Bouwe Bekking on Movistar, he looks cool as a cucumber. Everyone else on the front of the boat frantically getting the sails in. And could this be Brazil 1, who have also got ahead of Ericsson? Tim Powell on board there with Ericsson, and it looks like Torben Grail. Look at that move. He is inside at the mark, it's perfectly legal, and he has passed 2 boats. Coming down towards the finishing line, Movistar have sailed a superb race. The tactics to go to the right really won it for them, but their boat speed has been excellent, and Bouwe Bekking and Andrew Cape, the navigator, and all the crew on board enjoying their first import victory. But up at the top mark, it's a very different story. Overall Volvo race leader and dominator of the fleet so far, ABN AMRO ONE, is only a boat length and a half ahead of Brunel. They are right at the back of the fleet in 6th place. And in 2nd, Brazil 1 crossed the line. 3rd was Pirates of the Caribbean, and everyone has enjoyed a sun-soaked day of spectacular racing here in Baltimore.
So Movistar take a 2.5-point bite out of ABN AMRO ONE's lead at the top of the leaderboard. But the Black Boat's comfort zone is still a hefty 19.5 points. Pirates edge back up to 3rd at the expense of ABN AMRO 2, who are now only 4 points ahead of Brazil 1. Still no headway for Ericsson in 6th, while Brunel get their new campaign off the mark in 7th. For Mike Sanderson, the stopover in Baltimore brings a unique challenge. As skipper of ABN AMRO ONE, mastering huge waves and plotting a course through dangerous seas is an everyday occurrence. Throwing the opening pitch at a Baltimore Orioles baseball game isn't.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous, it'd be fair to say. It'd be fair to say I'm pretty nervous. I'm more nervous about this than the start of the Volvo Ocean Race, put it that way.
Whenever you're ready, it's your pitch.
I'm useless.
Oh. Oh. Sorry about that.
Good to have you.
A bouncer. Sorry about that, mate.
I don't know, after a week's training, that was just shocking.
Well, usually I always support my skipper, but tonight I take my jacket off.
Not a good pitch.
It was a disaster. Terrible.
Race day, Annapolis. The 6th leg will be a fast and furious charge out of the Chesapeake Bay and up the eastern seaboard to New York. With the winning boat expected to pass the Statue of Liberty within 36 hours, this will be a white-knuckle sprint for honours. On the water, and just minutes from the start, the boats circle each other, seeking an advantage.
Looks pretty tricky, so you compete against the current. And right now we actually want to go over a little bit to the right-hand side. We think there's too many spectator boats on the left.
So there'll be lots of chop. Basically to see what we do, like how we get off the line.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, strike.
Torben Grail's Brazil 1 gets the best start of the fleet. ABN AMRO 2 also punching through the line with pace. Heading up the course and searching for breeze, the race for the first mark is tight as the fleet navigate their way through the mass of spectator boats. Brazil 1 is stealing the show, firmly in first place as they near the first mark. Over 2,000 spectators line Bay Bridge as one by one the fleet set their spinnakers, bound for the exit of the Chesapeake Bay. Beautiful sailing conditions as the fleet charge towards the exit. But strong headwinds of 40 knots are on the horizon. The next 400 miles are going to be tough. The boats head towards the Atlantic, and as expected, the racing is very tight. Paul Cayard's Pirates of the Caribbean soon lead the way.
You can see the fleet strung out behind us here. It's Brazil. Movistar's over here on the western shore. About half a mile of weather. And just strung out behind Brazil over the next couple of miles. You can see Ericsson and Brunel. And way up there in the distance, you can see ABN about 2 miles away.
It's going to be a long and tough night having these boats this close together. I don't know how anybody's going to sleep.
The strong winds and heavy rain soon arrive. ABN AMRO 2 bear the brunt. Last into Baltimore, Seb Joss's crew are once again struggling as night approaches.
Now we're pretty much upwind all the way to Ambrose Light, so it's going to be more of this pounding upwind conditions, which is not that pleasant, and a few more tacks, which is hard work, but hopefully it'll be all over in 10 hours or so, so we look forward to that.
The Big Apple is within striking distance for our Volvo fleet. It's Mike Sanderson's ABN AMRO ONE, the overall race leaders, who have moved from the rear of the pack to the front, just 200 miles short of the Statue of Liberty. But with just 13 miles separating the first 5 boats, New York is set for a dramatic finish. Creeping through the darkness into an expectant Manhattan, ABN AMRO ONE, Mike Sanderson's boat arriving in New York to win leg 6 of the Volvo Ocean Race. Overall victory now almost within reach.
This was one of the legs we were worried about because anything short risks is a high risk for our boat. When you've got 4 of the other main competition who are basically so identical in design as they're proving out there now, when it's bad for us, it goes very bad.
While dawn breaks in New York and Sanderson's men leave the quayside in search of warm beds, drama begins to unfold on the water. Pirates of the Caribbean make a break for home ahead of the rest and claim second spot.
Movistar was definitely on our hammer the whole way up here. We were dueling with them. The other boats were a little bit further back. Once we saw that those 3 boats behind us, or 2 boats, Brazil and Ericsson, had actually closed up on Movistar, then Movistar had to go from a role of attacking us to defending their own position for third. So that made it a little bit easier for us to just sail our boat.
With Cayard's men taking second, an extraordinary battle for third develops between Brazil 1, Ericsson and Movistar. It's Brazil 1 who eventually claimed third. Neil McDonald's Ericsson fight hard to the line, stealing fourth from Movistar.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, we hadn't had any sleep in 2 days, and we had 40 knots, and we must have done 60, 70 tacks, and we have to stack the boat every time we stack. We can hardly pick the sails up as it is, so going to be a lot of aches and pains tomorrow morning and some very sore hands.
Victorious in the Annapolis import race, Bouwe Bekking's men have to be content with fifth.
It was a bit disappointing, but it was actually a little bit what we expected, because straight after the start we broke our wind system, so we couldn't grind like properly with the pedestals our jibs in, and it was short tacking up the harbour here, so we're just losing out every tack. We lost like 2 to 3 boat lengths, so there was nothing we could do really.
So here's how the table looks as the dust settles in New York. Victory for ABN AMRO ONE sees them now lead the Volvo Ocean Race by 23 points. Another 9 will secure overall victory. Only 13 points separate Pirates of the Caribbean in second and Ericsson in sixth. So all to play for as the boats prepare to cross the Atlantic. The Volvo fleet has just 2 days in which to rest and prepare the boats for the 3,200-mile Transatlantic Dash to Portsmouth on leg 7. This being a pit stop, no crew can receive outside assistance without incurring a 2-hour penalty on the restart, which can be frustrating for members of the shore crew.
Our time here in New York's actually spent standing around drinking a lot of coffee, actually. It's quite boring. I think the concept of the pit stop has been met with varying views throughout the fleet. For some of us it's a contentious issue, for others it's a bit of a novelty. I know from ABN's point of view, we'd be a lot happier if we could get on board the boat.
Movistar's shore crew is on the boat. Bouwe Bekking's men have damaged a winch system, not an easy fix.
The decision was taken by Bauer and the sailing team to take the 2-hour penalty. There's kind of a balance, you know, you don't want to be starting 2 hours behind everyone, but you don't want to be inefficient for the next 6, 8, 9 days, however long it's going to take them to get across the Atlantic.
Matt's able to stand in for me in this regard.
For Brunel, the problem is not so much parts as personnel. After relaunching his campaign in Baltimore with the aim of making an impact on the transatlantic leg, skipper Grant Warrington has come to a difficult decision.
I'm going to step aside for this leg 7, and Matt Humphries is going to skipper the boat for me. I found myself very tired in the last couple of days, and I was actually not able to pull my weight, which is not the way I like to go yacht racing. You know, I'm very proactive on the boat, and there's some sort of thing I've got to try and get sorted out. It's no good when you can't stay awake, I can tell you that.
The challenges the crews face on the next leg are formidable. A combination of hard upwind sailing, extreme cold and fog, with the prospect of fast reaching en route to the scoring gate at the Lizard, 165 miles west of the finish line in Portsmouth. With 10.5 points up for grabs, it's an important leg for all the boats, not least race leaders ABN AMRO ONE, now just 9 points away from winning the event outright. It's 11 o'clock, and 6 boats set out for the start of leg 7 and the challenge of the North Atlantic. Cooling their heels in North Cove Marina for another 2 hours, Movistar enduring their second enforced 2-hour penalty of the race. Out on the Hudson River, there's barely 10 knots of breeze and a strong ebbing tide. Not easy conditions in which to make the perfect start.
10, 9, 8, cover, 6, 5.
The course they'll be sailing out of the bay, a reach across the start line and then hard on the wind past the Statue of Liberty. And finally to the Narrows, where New York will bid farewell to the Volvo Ocean Race. Pirates convincingly win the start and lead the fleet out of the river. Brunel also looking confident and secure in second place. Sailing past the Statue of Liberty, the sight is nothing short of spectacular as the wind begins to freshen. For Movistar, the wait is tortuous. Still at the dock and sitting out their 2-hour penalty.
Yeah, we seem to have done this a couple of times now, and you know, all we want to do is just get close to them and be able to race them again.
Finally, for Movistar, their time is up and New York waves goodbye to the one remaining boat. Surging out of the harbour in encouraging conditions, Movistar's race has finally begun. It's time to play catch-up.
That was awesome. Leading out New York Harbor with the Pirates of the Caribbean. Doesn't get any better than that. That was like they wrote the script in Hollywood. We just executed it. That was awesome. Really a lot of fun. Now we're settling into the reality of a couple of hard days on the wind in these boats. But what a send-off from New York City.
When the sights and sounds of New York recede, reality bites in the form of freezing fog that envelops the fleet. Less than 3 miles separate the first boat from last. Some are even closer.
ABN 2 have just come out of the mist. Unbelievable. We're sailing along here in pea soup, freezing cold, and we heard some sheets easing and discovered it wasn't us. Had a little look around the boat. Who's easing the rudder? No one on our boat. It was the guys next door on the ABN 2. Unbelievable stuff.
Back to the top of the pile, as if by right, the crew of ABN AMRO ONE. Skipper and navigator already counting their early gains.
You know, we can't be greedy. We gained a mile on most of the fleet and gained 20 on Movistar. She's had to tack out round Nantucket Shoal when the rest of the fleet got out there pretty cheaply yesterday. So good to get her back a little bit, because I'm sure she'll come storming through later on.
On day 8 for ABN AMRO 2, the record and racing itself becomes an irrelevance. Sailing in 30 knots of wind in 5 metre seas some 1,300 miles from Land's End, England, Dutchman Hans Horrevoets is washed overboard.
Did he have a life jacket on?
No life jacket, no harness. All the people on the deck at the time, except for Hans, were clipped on.
It changed very quickly, and the wind was getting up quite quickly, and we were in the process of clipping on.
A matter of 30 seconds or a minute, he would have been down there and put his harness on to come back on deck.
Being the navigator, I was the person responsible for hitting the man overboard button and just making sure we went back to where we lost Hans over the side. We were only 1.6 miles away from Hans when we had the spinnaker down, the staysail furled, a daggerboard down so we could go upwind, and the boat was turned around and heading back.
First time we saw him, we came probably, it was 6 meters, 7 meters from the boat. Tried it once, but the swell was too big, so I couldn't get him. Then Sepp decided to do another, I think, 2 laps, and then he came really close to the boat, and half hanging out of the boat, we could grab him.
As soon as we got Hans on, we initiated just basic life support CPR, and that's really all you can do. We're really limited, with the facilities and things that we have on board to try to save someone.
Whatever boat you go into the sea, it will be dangerous. I think it's a great boat, but we must always remember the sea is a dangerous place.
Hans Horrevoets was 32. He leaves a partner, Petra, and a young daughter. After the tragic events of Thursday morning, the race goes on. Our fleet continues to head for England through perilous seas.
About 600 miles to go to Lizard Point now, and there's absolute battle. There's a little bit of a lull between the storms here at the moment, and literally it's just that. I mean, we've had 40 knots for the last 2 days. We've jibed. Currently got about 30. Expecting 40 knots again tonight. It's just an absolute battle out here. Couldn't be harder. Out goes yet another bucket of water from the mighty Ericsson. Hey, leaky ship. This boat leaks. What's up with that? Leaks like a sieve, mate. Very tired and exhausted. Damien Foxall coming downstairs here. You can hear the noise in the background. Generators running. Just trying to keep the boat going. Both of us should have been in bed about 3 hours ago. Going to get half an hour's sleep, back up there for another 6.
At the head of the fleet, Mike Sanderson's crew surge through the scoring gate off the Lizard, gaining maximum points. Now, just the finish line in Portsmouth awaits, and ABN AMRO ONE are not holding back. Overall victory is just hours away. The rest of the fleet chased the leader, ABN AMRO ONE, towards Portsmouth. In third, behind Ericsson, Pirates of the Caribbean. In pursuit of the Disney entry in fourth, Torben Grail's Brazil 1. Up the rear, but still scorching along the channel, Brunel. But just 10 days after waving Manhattan goodbye, ABN AMRO ONE tears across the finish line in Portsmouth to take leg 7 of the Volvo Ocean Race, securing overall victory for Mike Sanderson's crew.
It's such a special moment. This is my Olympic medal. This is my climbing of Mount Everest. This is my childhood dream, to get to skipper a boat and win it in the Volvo Ocean Race. We had to go on to the finish. That's what Hans would have wanted. Suddenly I got this urge that we had to go on and win the leg, and by winning the leg that meant we won the race. And you know, as a good friend, Mikey Howard, sent me, he sent me an email to say, you know, we've lost a friend and we've gained an angel. And you know, hopefully Hans is looking down and watching us come in here tonight, because it was pretty special, and it's what he would have wanted.
As ABN AMRO ONE closed in on victory, drama begins to unfold some 400 miles short of Land's End. Movistar, riddled with problems since the race began, runs into difficulty. The keel pivot bearing breaks away from the hull, and water begins to pour into the boat. ABN AMRO TWO, carrying the body of Hans Horrevoets, alter their route and come to assist the stricken Movistar. A desperate crew attempt to stop the leak by securing the keel with ropes.
The water that's coming in, going out, so we're in good shape.
So we've got both pumps running now?
Both pumps.
How do you feel about the whole situation?
I like to look at it with the half glass full, but the weather's good, and we're pretty lucky. Could be bad weather, like it's forecast, and we'd have a lot on. So I think we're probably as good as we can be. We've got ABN just behind us here, which is fantastic considering their situation, to be out here to help us.
As night approaches, skipper Bouwe Bekking begins to contemplate whether his crew's repairs will get them to land. With the boat taking on more water, Bekking and his crew are left with no option but to abandon ship.
Line? Okay. You guys just use that. Pedal line in right now, so should be able to put
Are you still got your line on, or should we cut the line and we come up to the liferaft and then send the throwing line back to your boat?
Now we're approaching Movistar and the liferaft. You can see that that's not helping a lot.
Just 3 days after losing Hans Horrevoets, ABN AMRO TWO, the youngest crew in the race, find themselves saving the lives of 10 others.
Time to look after the raft, because you never know. There'll be 2 crew on that boat, and we need to make sure we still have another means of even getting off that boat if things go bad.
Just sort of tidying the boat up so that if there is a chance when it comes back, hopefully still afloat, it can be picked up and there won't be too much floating in the water. Put the hatch covers in and hope it's still here.
What about the pumps? How long do you think it will stay working? Hopefully an hour, 2 hours. Batteries are fully charged. Start the generator up, so let's just the compartment runs full first, so we keep the main engine on as well. Okay.
Here you go. Yeah, no one's safe.
Dígalo. Y eso te diga. 2 años de trabajo ahí van.
There goes Movistar, no one on board anymore. Got the rest of the crew on the life raft. We're just coming again, coming across them. Pity.
appreciation to you guys.
See you later. That's it.
While the drama unfolds 400 miles from Land's End, Ericsson storm into Portsmouth to take second place behind ABN AMRO ONE. This is the best result for Neil MacDonald's crew since leaving Spain in November.
Obviously this for us has turned the race around, and it's a bit hard to be disrespectful to what's happened in the fleet, but it's bloody fantastic, mate. It's about time. We had great pace, and really the crew work and the atmosphere on board was absolutely wonderful. And we felt like we could take anything on, and we did, and it was great. It was really neat atmosphere, a great team, and a great result. And finally, we can show them what we're made of. It's a long time coming.
Less than half an hour after Ericsson crossed the finish line, Pirates of the Caribbean race home to claim third. After spending the night on ABN AMRO 2, the crew of Movistar prepare to climb on board a race support boat 6 miles south of Falmouth, Cornwall. ABN AMRO 2, meanwhile, heads towards a Royal Netherlands Navy frigate, which will take off the body of Dutch crewman Hans Horrevoets. Safely ashore, Bekking's crew reflect on an extraordinary 48 hours.
You can't describe how thankful for those guys, and you know, they're just you know, like such a terrible experience, and they're holding their heads up. So I think it's a good lesson for everyone. They're very remarkable people.
A big thank you to the ABN 2 crew and Sebastian. They did a fantastic job, and they've been really nice to us, especially in the circumstances where they have been. I think like we realised that we're actually quite a lucky bunch, and we're in a way better situation actually than the ABN 2 crew was.
I was sort of the last one to step off into the raft, and I got a picture in my mind like the life raft's down at the almost water level, and I can see the transom of the boat with Movistar from San Chencho like rocking and drifting off into the distance, and you just go, you know, I'm fairly certain that'll be the last time I see it.
"11 days after leaving New York and having experienced a transatlantic crossing none on board envisaged, ABN AMRO 2 arrives in Portsmouth, ending one of the most dramatic legs in ocean race history. For Mike Sanderson and his crew, a glorious victory. For Bouwe Bekking and his crew, the loss of their boat and dreams of a podium finish. But for Sebastian Josse and his crew on ABN AMRO TWO, this journey was a test of the human spirit. Seldom has a group of sportsmen revealed such courage in fending for their fellow man. For them it is a time to reflect on the loss of a friend, to reflect on the question, do they race on? The efforts made by Seb Josse's crew to recover their teammates so quickly in such difficult conditions have earned them widespread praise. Their later rescue of Movistar when Bouwe Bekking's men were forced to abandon ship earned them the Seamanship Award at the Leg 7 prize-giving dinner.
That brotherhood will drag them through, and that having dealt with such a tragic incident, I think they'll be strong.
They've got to get back on and they've got to go out and do it. Otherwise they may never go ocean sailing again. So it's very important for them and also important for everybody in the race to see them come back from that. We don't want to see them fail and fall because of this, because of an accident. At the end of the day, that's what it was. It was an accident. And I'd hate for them to not carry on in their careers because of an accident.
It's not their self-confidence that Bouwe Bekking's crew need to recover. It's their boat. There's been no position report from Movistar since the day after it was abandoned, water flooding in around a broken keel pin.
The weather conditions have improved today as such that we were able to sending out an airplane so that we have a visual side of the area where the last position was known. So it will be pretty hard to spot, but that is the first thing what we're having, and then we're having a search and rescue vessel on standby as well. As soon as the boat is spotted, that boat will take off and try to salvage Movistar.
Gunwharf Quays, Portsmouth. The start of the import race just a few hours away. The fleet observes a minute's silence in memory of Dutch crewman Hans Horrevoets. Only 6 boats will contest the event, but the missing boat is Movistar, not ABN AMRO TWO. Seb Josse's crew have committed themselves to the race as a mark of respect for their late friend and colleague.
It's nice to get out there and do what we love to do and get our minds on something that we really want to, you know, and kind of move on for everybody's sake.
This is a big day for us because it's the first day the team goes back out on the water almost after burying Hans. We want to go out there today, have a good race for the team, good race for Hans, his family, and go out and really give it heaps.
Watching the import race action out on the Solent, international yachtsman Chris Law.
The Portsmouth import race of the Volvo Ocean Race. The scene is set, there's plenty of breeze, man against the elements once again. Kenny Reid shouting at his competitors. This is the home port of the British Navy, steeped in history here. Plenty of round-the-world races have finished, and with the tragedies of the previous leg behind us, life moves on and the world turns. The 6 remaining boats in the race jostle for position. Tense moments these. Here comes the gun. Stand by. Great start. There's the gun. Look at that. All boats really tightly bunched at the weather end. ABN AMRO ONE slightly late shooting on. ABN AMRO 2 to windward. Brunel got a flyer. Brazil 1's clear too. Pirates at the leeward end driving hard. They want the left upwind, I'm sure of that. Jules Salter, the navigator. ABN AMRO 2 breaking right here. They want the right. Followed by Ericsson. Out of the shot will be ABN AMRO 1 going right as well. Then Brazil, but Brunel trying to hang on to Paul Kayard. Really confident to the left. Jules Salter, the local man, born and bred in the Isle of Wight. And oh no, Brunel have broken down. Daggerboard trouble, I think. Good shot of the fleet. Here comes Kayard coming in from the left. Sheets are eased here. He must be over the ley line. Full chat at the top mark. He's going to lead round the top mark safely. There's the windward mark. They tack around it. This is going to be a tack set. So the boat is tacking through the Isle of the Wind and standby spinnaker set. Paul Kayard on the lead. Can he finally win a leg? Followed by ABN AMRO 1. Pressure beyond downwind here. Their bearaway setting spinnaker going up. Daggerboard's already up in the air. Brazil 1 in third. Look at the power as they bear off around the top mark. Cantileering keel almost out of the water. Mainsail a bit late going out. Full heel angle here. Full chat. Daggerboard's up. They're in for a rough ride. Working hard to get the chute up. Here come Ericsson. Ericsson in fourth. Round the top mark. Daggerboard up. Chute going up. It's going to be fun downwind, this race. And here comes ABN AMRO 2. In fifth. Brunel having broken down. They're at the back of the pack at the moment. Pirates of the Caribbean, full chat downwind. Boy, he's enjoying himself. Can he win this race? There's the fleet behind him. Ericsson has split their spinnaker on the hoist. Must have caught on a stanchion. Kenny Reid making the call to let it go. No point trying to recover that. That's no good to him. The whole thing is going to be let go. The halyard, everything. It will only slow the boat as they go downwind. It's just dragging behind them. What a disaster. Yowza, this is what it's all about. Jerry Kirby on the bow. Paul Kayard now going in for the turn, jibing, fighting the wheel. He's going to lose control. The boat's going to spin out here just like a Formula One car. Spin out. Broach. Shredded spinnaker. More disasters. Memories going back to Cape Town. Pirates seem to have trouble jibing, getting their keel across in time. Meanwhile, ABN AMRO ONE, the series leader, are going to take the lead. They show no mercy and go straight through to leeward. Don't even slow down. Jibs are up. Standby drop. Must be pushing 25 knots at this point as they approach the leeward mark. ABN AMRO ONE lead again. Pirates of the Caribbean second. Life is good aboard ABN AMRO ONE. Mike Sanderson steering, leading the fleet. Neil McDonald back skippering Ericsson. And there's a passenger aboard ABN AMRO 2. Does that mean something? ABN AMRO 1 nearly losing it. Pirates in second, pushing hard. They've set up for a jibe set, so they're going to jibe the boat before they set the spinnaker. Mike Sanderson in full control with his fantastic team aboard ABN AMRO ONE. His birthday today, dominant series leader, winning the import race, newlywed. Boy, life can't get much better for him. So they can't quite lay the finish, so they've had to trip the spinnaker off and douse the spinnaker before the finish. But here they come, winning the import race, just adding more points to their total score. Fantastic job. Brazil won in another rain squall, but they're solid third. They seem happy with that. So ABN AMRO ONE come to the finish for another win. Dominant inshore as well as offshore. Their boat handling is superb. Throughout the race, they've just got better and better. Pirates of the Caribbean coming to another second place result in the inshore race. They've yet to win a leg, but they're holding down second place and are only increasing the buffer on third. One can only wonder what might have been had they got this program together earlier, had they got on the water earlier. So these monster boats show what they've got inshore in Portsmouth. Great boisterous conditions, lots of disasters, lots of action, plenty of speed, lots of excitement. Brazil happy in third. Gut-wrenching and heart-pounding stuff.
So it's Mike Sanderson's men who reign supreme on the Zealand, their fourth import victory of the race.
It's what I really hoped would happen. I really wanted to go out today and gets the team back on track as much as we can after the tragic loss of Hans. And it's just wonderful to go out there. We know he was looking down on us and keeping an eye on us, and he pity he can't be there for the debrief because I'm sure he'd had plenty to say.
Pirates plunder second, good enough at this stage for Paul Kayard's men after a particularly testing afternoon.
We broached in the jibe, and it's kind of been a difficult problem with this boat. The keel just doesn't move very fast, and we just, of course, it happened to be blowing 20. The windiest part of the day happened to be right then, and it was an unfortunate situation, but stayed in second overall, which is basically getting the job done for us. I mean, the big picture for us is to get second in this event. Chipping away at it.
Brazil 1 dealt with the Zealand's unfamiliar conditions well. Guanabara Bay it's not.
Tough conditions, shift winds and sun, rain, storm, so it was good to be top three, always good to be top three.
At the top of the leaderboard, ABN AMRO ONE are now just a dot on the horizon. The race sewn up with 2 legs to spare. Below them, Pirates, Brazil 1 and ABN AMRO 2 have already received an extra 1.5 points, redress for their assistance during leg 7. Paul Kayard's second place on the Zealand cements the Pirates' second spot overall. Brazil 1 now 7.5 points behind them. Movistar's plight sees ABN AMRO 2 move up to 4th place, still within range of a resurgent Ericsson. Somewhere in the fraught few days in Portsmouth, Mike Sanderson did indeed marry fiancée Emma Richards, his world-beating crew among the guests. A long-standing commitment that fell amid an emotional week for Team ABN AMRO. After saying goodbye to one member of their extended family, they welcome another on board. Leg 8 of the Volvo Ocean Race will see our fleet head out from Portsmouth along what's widely recognised as one of the most famous stretches of water in the world of yachting, the Zealand. The boats will then head along the south coast of England, around Ireland, up to the very north of the UK, and then back through the North Sea before eventually reaching the finish line in Rotterdam, Holland. Leg 8 of the Volvo Ocean Race gets underway in Portsmouth. Next stop, Rotterdam. The breeze is up for the moment, but light winds are forecast for the next few days. This journey around the UK promises to be a real test. Within 15 minutes of the gun, the wind dies. The excellent starts made by both ABN AMRO crews count for nothing. It's hard going, but within 45 minutes the breeze picks up again as the boats edge their way down the Solent. After leaving Portsmouth with the sun setting on the Solent, the leading boats reach the Needles and begin to head out into open waters. The race is on. The opening few hours of the race continue to be difficult as our fleet hugs the south coast of England, travelling in light air. As night falls, it's Brazil 1 and Ericsson who lead the way.
So early morning on leg 8. And a beautiful morning after one of the calmest starts to any of the legs of the Volvo Ocean Race 2006. Really fantastic morning.
Even the race leaders, who have won 6 of the previous 7 legs, find themselves struggling.
Here we are in the notorious English Channel, still very light airs. Managed to wriggle our way through the night and not too bad a shape, which was quite nice. So yeah, any time that we can get away with managing to stay with the pack when it's this light is a big bonus. Basically got the whole fleet around us, Pirates and ABN AMRO 2 to leeward, Brazil, Brunel and Ericsson right here to windward, so all very tight.
We're about to be rolled by the Brazilians. They're doing about a knot faster than us. Shit happens.
Time then for some essential maintenance.
How boring is getting this race. We got some birds following us.
Definitely displacement mode on that kind of.
But the light airs do bring alternative pursuits.
Come on guys, give us a little push. Oh, one more.
And we lead the race, huh?
Look at the line, that's incredible. Ah. Ah.
With the boats all tightly bunched together, any move is greeted with trepidation.
It's the scene out here in the Irish Sea. You see Brazil to leeward about half a mile. And Ericsson bow out to leeward about half a boat length. There we go.
Oh, it's the pirates. Look out.
Yeah. Volvo drift off. Gonna invite them over for coffee. That's right, mate. I'm sure we can find something to build a fire in the galley. Now we're going to take our medicine and try and foot to leeward, get some clear air.
As our boats struggle around the UK, concern grows in Holland. The longer our crews toil in light winds, the later their arrival at the finish line in Rotterdam becomes, jeopardizing the import race scheduled for 3 days' time.
Our expectation for the leg was something around 4 to 5 days. That's now. They're not here, and they could be another 3 days, which is very disappointing, but that's the weather, and I suppose that's sailing boats. The biggest implication is the import race, and if they're so late they don't arrive on Friday night, then we may not be able to hold the import race on Saturday. And that's a real shame. We've got a lot of people coming down here, a lot of people expecting to see it, and it will be a terrible shame if it doesn't happen, but we're working towards that. We are expecting them in on Friday, but that may slip to Saturday, and we'll do our level best to get the race in on Saturday afternoon.
Back on the water, instead of closing in on the finish line in Rotterdam, the light airs mean that our fleet are still more than 800 miles short of Holland. The delays in getting around the UK bring an obvious problem.
Food situation in the ABN 2 is going critical. Tell us about it.
Well, Seb just peeked his head up the cabin this morning and said that we actually have probably 10 days of yachting. We've only packed for 6 days of food, so we've slowly been rationing some of the meals and everything, but I think we're going to be okay. We can live with a couple of days without food. Some of us are a little overweight from the last few stopovers, but just slowly putting some of the packages of food away till so we can have a couple left for the next few days.
How's your impressions of the league so far? Pleasant. You look a bit tired though, mate.
Yeah, a little tired. There's plenty of land in the way. It's not like an open ocean league where you can get plenty of rest. But we keep turning right at these corners, and we're trying to cut the corners to sail the minimum distance. All right, at the moment we're looking for a 210 shift, and just as we're talking, if we look over here, we've got 210. So we're just now 211. So in a moment we're going to get a shout, "We need to jibe," and everyone's going to get woken up again. But I think we should just hang on just a few minutes.
5 minute rule.
The shift.
We'll have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, are you up for the coffee? I could do with another one.
I'm always good for coffee.
The last 5 days of sailing have seen an average of just 6 knots of breeze. The first group of 3 boats has only just cleared the northeast tip of Scotland. 450 miles still to run, even with the now shortened route. Suffering along with everybody else, ABN AMRO ONE.
Had a pretty tough day here watching Ericsson and Brazil 1, which you can see over my right shoulder. Come in on us a lot in their lighter airs. The breeze has just built back a little bit, maybe up to 7 knots, and we're reaching on close to on course, so hopefully we can hang on a little bit better. But definitely tough times here on the big girl. Pleased to be up here with the way the leg's been, and it could have been a whole lot worse.
Ericsson also craved their first leg win and share the lead with ABN AMRO ONE and Brazil 1, as the first group makes for Rotterdam in a freshening breeze. Now 100 miles behind them, the second group are still suffering. 4th place Pirates rationing their 4 remaining meals to 1 every 100 miles. On Brunel, the problem is not so much the shortage of food as keeping it down.
What's been happening?
Well, everyone's been getting sick, been spewing up. A bit of the runs, a bit of the trots, a bad case last night. all come good.
That's good. How far did Will get?
You might be better to ask Will that one. He might be a bit embarrassed about that, but yeah, he was definitely going at both ends, and not necessarily at different times.
Good to have you on board, mate. We need you.
Yeah, you always need a medical professional on board. You know, it's all in a day's work, saving lives.
In the last few hours of the leg, after a drag race through North Sea fog, Ericsson slips from contention, leaving ABN AMRO ONE and Brazil ONE locked in battle. The South Americans desperate to record their first leg triumph, the Dutch boat to reach its home port first. Finally, after more than 7 days of racing, 2 more than expected, a delighted Torben Grail and crew emerge from the darkness to claim a popular victory. The winning margin over ABN AMRO ONE, just 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
It's a wonderful achievement to win a leg. Very demanding on the concentration, on the light areas, to get every little puff just to stay in front. So I think crew did a wonderful job, and everybody's quite happy.
I was pulling the main down with Kiko, and he said to me, you know, this is better than winning his Olympic medal. So, you know, I'm never going to go to the Olympics, so this is pretty special.
For Mike Sanderson's men, a rare second place, but confirmation of their ability to stay on the pace, even in the lightest air.
In lots of ways, it was our best leg. I think we only had 4 hours of conditions where our boat was even competitive with the other boats. You know, some of our competitors have said in the past that, you know, even monkeys could win in Black Betty. I don't think anybody can say that about this race.
Some 26 minutes behind in third, Ericsson, disappointed after having led for longer than any other boat.
I mean, it's great to be on the podium after the results we've had. Hard to be pipped at the post, certainly after having led for so much of the race. It was, it's always, well, you know, it's horrible to be pipped at the post, but we're happy to be here in third, and it was great yacht racing out there. It was really good fun. So nice to be inside of all the fleet the whole time and give ABN AMRO a bloody good run for their money.
Cheers. Relief at last for the first 3 boats, with victory even sweeter for Brazil ONE. Their win reduces the gap between themselves and Pirates of the Caribbean for second place overall. With Paul Kayart's men still on the water, the question is, by how much? By the early afternoon of Saturday, day 9, the Dutch spectator fleet is out in force to welcome leg 8's last 3 finishers. First in, Paul Kayart's Pirates of the Caribbean. 4th place leaves them just 4.5 points clear of Brazil ONE in the battle for second overall.
Yeah, it is the first time in several months that we're not on the podium, but you know, that's how racing is, that's how competition is. You can't win all the time, and so we're still in a very strong position, and we got a couple more legs to go.
Arriving in 5th place, apparently, Matt Humphrey's crew on Brunel. It's not until afterwards they learn from race officials that they missed out a new waypoint off the Dutch coast. Faced with being protested by the race committee, Brunel later retires from the leg, handing ABN AMRO 2 a valuable extra point in their struggle to hold off Ericsson for 4th place overall. Seb Joss's men receive a special welcome on their return to home port.
For the first few days it was quite a bit of a relief just to be sailing along in nice weather, but certainly the novelty of that wore off quite quickly. But like I said, you know, it was a great boat to sail with a lot of great people, and it's a real enjoyable ride.
So to Sunday, when, after just a few hours in which to prepare themselves and their boats, the fleet heads back down the Maas River for Rotterdam's rescheduled in-port race. Podium places still riding on the outcome. Watching the race, Olympic silver medalist Mark Cavell.
Beautiful day here in Rotterdam. Summer's breeze, 8 to 10 knots.
Or we can just stay out of the shit fight and have a good start.
Kayart keen to get a good start here. This is the last in-port race.
He's above you. He's hooked. He's hooked.
Kenny Reed concerned about the windward boat. Going fast and very, very close to the left-hand side of the line. Are they going to get across the line? Yes, the bow comes up with plenty of speed. Ericsson shoot off the left-hand side of the line, but you can see the start. That is the gun, and they are over. Next job for them, they've got to get back round the start, slice through these spectator boats and clear. Pirates of the Caribbean coming off the right-hand side of the line. Bows coming down on Ericsson, just inside that spectator boat, very, very close. There goes the jibe, slices through, bow comes up, and rest of the boats, the fleet are off, leaving Ericsson in their trail.
Go me, go me, go me.
But out of the traps on the right-hand side of the line is Pirates of the Caribbean. Left-hand side of the fleet, ABN AMRO ONE going fast. Nice first speed, working that left-hand side of the course. Not in their ideal conditions. ABN AMRO ONE set their spinnaker. Big asymmetric kite coming around that top mark. Still pumped from their first win on leg 8. Brazil won. Nice hoist there in second place. Pirates of the Caribbean now coming around in third, desperate to keep the racing close. Remember, there's overall points to think about. Grinders working hard, hoisting that asymmetric spinnaker.
We're tripping over a few times, but we're still in the game. A good day for a sail.
In last place after a terrible start, over the line, Ericsson, desperate to pass some boats now. Good news for them, the fleet is still close. Bows coming down, hunting for the next boat to pass. Leeward mark, first sculp. That one came easy. ABN AMRO 2, turning this racecourse into a parking lot. Still in the water, having to drop their Genoa and rehoist it, and then trying to wrestle with that huge sail, getting the bow down, and off they go. In third, Paul Cayard and Pirates of the Caribbean coming around that top mark, getting the asymmetric sail set. Here it goes, sheet on, filling, they're off. But sailing well. In fourth place, Brunel slice around that top mark. Breeze is dropping, but coming in with plenty of speed. Here comes Ericsson, looking to pass the next boat.
Watch out for the luff!
Watch out for the luff, Richard Mason says, but still smarting from the boat handling error at the bottom of the course. ABN AMRO 2 in last place, but at the front of the fleet, 3 boats. These are the points that count, leading ABN AMRO 1. But only just.
Torben spins it hard and ABN rolls on him. They're going to be in a reach fest, be smarter to get clear. We got some good options here.
Down here, in about 2 minutes, there's going to be a pile up at the bottom mark.
Well, wise words again there from Justin Kluwer, telling it like it is. ABN AMRO 1 spiked the kite on this leeward mark.
Got away a lot slower this time.
Slow him up.
Okay, let's go, let's go. He's the jib. He's the jib, Dirk.
Well, Cayard really feeling the pressure. They've just got to stay in touch with Brazil 1.
Well, Brazil's catching up to us on points. We've got to lock them out, wrap this race up. We want second place. We've earned it.
Well, Juggy thinks he owns this. Cayard coming around the leeward mark. It's decision time. ABN AMRO 1 heading left. Brazil going right.
Go pretty soon here. We'll be in the pressure.
Well, Cayard's done nice work here, dragging Brazil out to the right, keeping Torben back from the opportunity of taking the lead.
He must be pretty damn confident that's the way to go.
So now Brazil tack on to starboard, coming into the top mark, round the top mark, and look at that lead. ABN AMRO 1 has really stretched out. So Cayard's done the work. He's kept Brazil from challenging the lead. But ABN AMRO 1 coming down to the finish spiking the kite, getting the kite down, rolling over the line. There's the gun. Well, delight on Mike Sanderson's boat. Handshake for Mark Christensen. Good work there. Not their ideal conditions, light. Started off in 10 knots, it's really dropped down, but still racing. Here comes the Pirates. Brazil still in second, just to leeward.
Okay, it's the finish. We got to be third here.
We just cover Ericsson before, mate.
So still working the tactics, just covering Ericsson. Brazil, handshakes and hugs all round, very happy with second.
Who is that? Oh, guys, we did the right thing on that last beat to make sure Brazil didn't pass ABN. That would have been the worst.
That'll be the worst, exactly. If they couldn't win the race, doing what they've just done is the next best thing. Behind them, Ericsson in fourth. They were over the line at the start. Then Brunel bringing up the rear, ABN AMRO 2. Absorbing racing here in Rotterdam for the last import race.
So it's 5 import wins out of 7 races for the black boat. Its skipper delighted, whatever the tactics on the boats behind.
It was their best import race win ever, and you know, because it wasn't our conditions, no one can say that we had a fast boat out there today, and you know, they all know that too. So I mean, no, it was a very enjoyable day.
But could Paul Kayard's men or Torben Grails have spoiled this day if they'd wanted? The Pirates skipper at least seems to think so.
We both gave ABN AMRO ONE the race today. I mean, if we raced really hard just to win, for sure Brazil would have passed them, and we might have too. But what happened on the last lap when we closed right in on them is that Brazil continued on because they were hurting us, and I didn't. If I had tacked, Brazil would have tacked, right? But that would have let Brazil go after AMRO. So I just stayed in a position that was where Brazil was gaining on me, pushing both of us to the wrong way. Because the one thing I didn't want to have happen is have AMRO ONE get between us.
So, at the top of the leaderboard, race winners ABN AMRO ONE still managed to increase their lead, now 28 points clear. Sister boat ABN AMRO 2's last place in Rotterdam leaves them just half a point ahead of Ericsson in the fight for fourth. Above them, as their crews are only too aware, the podium places are not confirmed either. The Pirates lead over third place Brazil 1, now down half a point to just 4.
And basically, they got to be first or second on the next leg, or else it's over. And if they are first or second, we've got to be 5th or 6th. So, I mean, if they put 4 boats between us, they deserve to beat us.
30,750 nautical miles on the clock, less than 500 to go. The final leg of the Volvo Ocean Race gets underway in Rotterdam, the beginning of the last episode of an extraordinary adventure.
to imagine that we both went to the same weather briefing. ABN 1 hard on the left, ABN 2 hard on the right. I'm not 100% sure why the boat 2's out this right-hand side. If the wind goes this way, then the boat's out this side will gain. If the wind goes this way, the boat's out this side will gain. Now it's going to be tossing the coin to see which works. Only time will tell. Very interesting position report though, because Brazil had to beat Pirates by 4 places to finish second, and at the moment she is. So there'll be little tense times on the Pirates of the Caribbean right now.
Really tricky stuff out here at the moment. Our game plan hasn't gone to our game plan. Boats are going in all directions and crossing each other, and so there's quite a lot of position changing. But the only thing that is not changing is the fact that Brazil is still in front.
It's going to be a pretty moving night, I think. It'll be the last time we actually sail on this boat with this group of guys in this race. So,
are you going to cry?
You know, I might shed a tear or two, but, you know, I think I'll do a Hawaiian chant off the back just for good luck through the evening.
Show us a little glimpse of the Hawaiian tent.
Sword hitting like that, but I'll wait. The moves are tonight. And mahalo hui ho.
So you're happy that the race is actually finishing?
Oh, yeah.
While the ABN AMRO weather briefing ruled in favour of the westerly course, ABN AMRO 2's gamble to the east side pays off, putting them at the front of the fleet. Spotting this, Brazil, Brunel and Pirates of the Caribbean all make a dive for the easterly course. As they lead the fleet towards Sweden, the excitement of winning the final leg sparks trophy-holding fantasies on ABN AMRO 2.
Did anything from me, just a single pump over the head, a lot of fire.
Bit of a like a tennis type.
Oh yeah,
let's go. Yep, like pulling the horn down.
Jump with it too. Almost a nightclub move. Then or a third. Yeah, a little some of these sometimes. Or a third place one.
How was the third place?
Oh yeah.
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. Yeah.
You finished some second last.
Yeah. I guess I'll do this one. The gladiator one.
The athletic.
But the morning brings a fresh challenge for Seb Joss's crew. Paul Kayard's Pirates of the Caribbean emerge from the chasing pack and slowly reel in the leading boat. $33,500 miles round the world, and it's a drifting race to the finish line. Win. 7 points on the scoreboard and, more importantly, second place overall. ABN AMRO 2 put an end to their string of last places, second in leg 9 and securing 4th place overall.
That couldn't have been written any better in Hollywood.
I love the race. This is what I do. It's what I enjoy doing. So I'm very happy. I can't complain.
No, it's great. It's something we all set out to achieve, and we've all done it now. So I'm sure most of us will have to do it again.
It's an emotional roller coaster, I think. You know, it's been every high and every low. The lowest things you can have in life and the highest things you can have in life. You know, coming into here or some of the other ports, you know, with all these people cheering and on something that you do, you know, you get the real feeling of achievement, what you've been doing the last few years, and that you've achieved something, and you know, and that's a great feeling.
It's amazing because we start at the start with just a selection process of a young sailor, and it's really risky to do that, but at the end, I think it's a really successful project.
Brazil 1 picked their way through the armada of spectator boats. Torben Grail's crew finishing third on leg 9 and third place overall. Just missing out on a podium finish, but still enjoying their best result in this race, Brunel. And fifth place goes to Neil McDonald's Ericsson. Although they're still out on the water, it's Mike Sanderson's crew on ABN AMRO ONE who win the race by 23 points from Pirates of the Caribbean. Brazil 1 finished third, ahead of ABN AMRO 2, Ericsson, Movistar and Brunel. Overall winner ABN AMRO ONE eases its way into Gothenburg. Mike Sanderson's crew has dominated this epic race in spectacular fashion. The Fighting Finish trophy is rightfully theirs. This race promised 7 months and 33,500 miles of life at the extreme, and it duly delivered.
I know nobody can win the round the world race tonight, but you could lose it. When I went down below that first night and saw the water pressure on the top of the keel box and the water oozing into the boat and the swelling of the lid, it was just extremely apparent to me that we needed to slow the boat down very, very quickly, and there was no way that boat was going to sail 7,000 miles in that state.
We have never sailed with that much wind before. Didn't know even what sails to use. We were there just hanging on.
And the first night was just crazy. Then we really realised the full potential of these boats. It was just massive dinghies on steroids, and they were going to be physically and mentally extremely challenging to get around the world.
Yes, you're scared. You're scared, you know, you're looking forward to getting through it. And I guess that's scared.
You know, it's what we came down for. This is what this boat's designed for.
We sort of all knew that there was potential to do a 24-hour record, and we spoke with Seb and we said, you know, we should go for it. And so he said, yeah, let's do it.
150 miles in the
It looks like you're gonna sink in the next wave because it's bouncing so much, you know? So it was kind of scary, you know? It didn't look like it was gonna last for very long.
yards away after 2,500 miles.
I am never doing this race again.
But going around Cape Horn was that was a pretty scary experience because you really are at the hands of the elements there, and we went around in 40 to 50 knots, massive seas, some of the biggest seas I've ever seen in my life, and these yachts were slamming downwind down the fronts of these waves. There was a couple of times I thought, God blimey, if the boat survives this, well, it's a miracle.
In 97, 98, I was pedal to the metal. And had I not had that experience and being on a rocket like these are for the first time and having a pedal to the metal attitude, I would have hurt some people and probably sunk the boat.
Get a bit cooler down here in the Southern Ocean.
Our speedo goes out of the water at about 30 knots, so then we had no idea how we're going. The boat felt like it was in the air, then a big nosedive, the water, the wind and everything, and then Sci-Fi pops his head up and said we did 40 knots, so it's pretty scary. I was definitely scared. And George was trimming for me in front of me, and all he did was turn around after like a minute's odds and went, dude, that was fast. And I was like, yeah.
It's a hell of a way to make a living.
The Southern Ocean, the Churchwood boys in demand.
If you want to challenge yourself to sail a boat as fast as it can be sailed and a boat that's really rewarding to sail, go and sail a Volvo 70, get in the Volvo Ocean Race.
Normally we would take the spinnaker down at night just to be safe, but at one point on May 19th we took the spinnaker down in the middle of the day and put the jib up. It was just that rough. So yeah, I've been scared.
Hans was a really fun guy, and I worked well with him on the sails of our boat. So he was very close to me and we worked a lot together, and he was always laughing and joking and always up for having a chat and a coffee or whatever, and he just loved sailing. I can remember changing watches with him, and one day sailing and he just said, talked about the trim of the boat and the setup, and then he said, at the end of the day, it's a beautiful day, great sailing conditions, enjoy it boys, and went down. He obviously had a fantastic 4 hours, and that sort of sticks with me, and just realise that every day, you just got to live every day and enjoy it.
If you want to go and take it on and have the ultimate thrill in offshore sailing, the Volvo Ocean Race is what it's all about.
It just sucks you in. You'll hate the thing. There's times where you just go, what am I never ever doing this again? This is just nuts. And there's other times where you're out there going, this is just awesome. I mean, people just don't get exposed to this sort of life.
It's extremes of everything. Extreme sporting, you know, extreme living, extreme weather. Yeah, it's all extreme.
Olympic medal, this is my climbing of Mount Everest, this is my childhood dream, to get to skipper a boat and win it in the Volvo Ocean Race.